everyone, this is 7/10 minutes with ARKHILITE C, and over the other end of the screen, as you can see, I have Kelley Cheng with me. Kelley Cheng is from the press room, and we are like super honored and happy to have here with us today. Thanks, Kelley, for being with us. I know you're just plugging this on, but are you able? Did you catch the things, the good things which I say about you just now?
Unfortunately, no. You are repeat.
Don't worry about it. I've got recording. I've got a fine recording. Yeah. So Kelley Cheng from the press room, impressive repertoire of work and accomplishment under her belt. Very much wanted to talk about a lot of things that would be like really. It may come naturally to some of the part of the audience that is listening in to us, and then to the rest, they probably would like to find out a bit more on what is it that you do. I think as a start, because we really want to like cover both wide as well as deep in some of the things that I think I'm quite interested in. So but before that, maybe would you like to give like a short summary of what the press room does?
Okay, so actually, press room is really a multi-disciplinary design studio. It's a little bit of a cliche word, but it is what it is lah. Because we actually the funny thing is, I guess it come out of a need instead of a strategy lah. When I first started the studio more than 10 years ago, you cannot choose your job.
Oh.
So you just you take whatever that comes along, and it just so happened that because I guess due to my previous sort of portfolio of things that I've done, because I've practiced a little bit of architecture, I've practiced a little bit of interior design, I've run a magazine, as most of my friends know me by, ish, for 10 years, and then I also have done publishing, I've also done some graphic design. So because of my very, very beginning, so when I started the press room, I would consider it lucky actually. So different people come to me for different things. They will say, "Oh, Kelley, can you write this for us? Oh, Kelley, can you design this logo for us? Kelley, can you do this interior?" So it started that way, and as with all little small studios, boutique studio, I started as a one-person show. So I would say, "Caparang do lah," So when I have time, I do this, I do that, and slowly, of course, the studio grew quite organically. Then as the job grew, I started to have more designers and writers and whatnot to come along.
Thank you, Kelley. The intent of the chat really today is to other than, because we need to give like a background to everybody so that we know what is it that we are talking about. But of course, very much on the same token, a lot of people would know about you really. Like for example, I was telling my friends that about you, like that we're going to have like a chat. Of course, I know you prior to this, but we're going to have like a deeper chat regarding some of the things that we may or may not have been able to catch up with each other before this. And then I wouldn't say that I'm surprised, but there are like everyone that I tell, they will say, "Oh yeah, Kelley Cheng, I know." Either they know you because they were in a way being taught by you. I think you were lecturing at LaSalle, and right. So at least so I know that because I knew of someone who was your who was tutored by you. Then I was chatting up with another friend, and I thought, "Oh yeah, Kelley Cheng, she's quite famous. I don't know her, but she's quite famous in the design scene, right?" So everyone knows you, Kelley.
So it's actually just a testimony to your age, When you're old enough, you're like a ghost,
No,
floating.
I was ledging on to that. I hope this client of ours, Cherish and Edmund, they're listening in, because I just had a chat with them. She just left my office like 2 hours ago, and then they're big fans of some of the things that we do. So and then they'll say, "Oh, Vincent, you're gonna have a chat with later on." Then I said, yeah, with Kelley, my super senior. Then I paused there for a while. No, I said, no, like, actually she's still like, she's like very young, so just super senior. Yeah, no, but it is the amount of things that, not the age, but the amount of things that you have done, like so much, that really sets you apart from many people and many firms and so on in the industry. I would very much like to go all the way back to probably when you were doing architecture. What is it that interests you? When you're doing architecture, does the idea of design, not of the build industry, not just of the build industry, but of interiors and definitely of publishing, how does that come to you? Because what happens now is that we see more and more graduates, at least of architecture school in NUS. We have got a couple of interns, and then what happened is that after they graduate from NUS, from the course, from the program, they went on to do other stuff, but those are the recent years. For my batch, not so much. We very much, move on to architecture, and still very much many of us are still within the circle, within the industry. But for many of the very recent graduates, they all like go on to do very, very different things. They do coding, they do, I've got one intern who does just right that she's graduated for 2 years already. So now she's into coding. Yeah, so Kelley, what makes you tick during your years in NUS?
Maybe I would just like to backtrack to a little bit before my NUS days. I entered the school in late 80s, early 90s, around there. Yeah, around there lah. And for some of the people around my generation or before, I think they would remember quite vividly in those years. If you want to have a degree in any design discipline, to be honest, you don't have so many choices. It's not like these days. I think the kids are very, very lucky, They want to study design. There's so many schools, at their disposal, just at our doorstep in Singapore. You see, you have LaSalle offering degree, you have NAFA, you have GSA, you have FTU, ADM, you have now you have Singapore's University of Social Sciences, you have SMU, right. You have so many, okay? So it's and they can also choose. They can study film. They can study product design. They can study industrial design.
That's very niche too, yeah.
Yeah, but in those days, nothing. Just want to remind everybody, there's nothing.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, so there is only if you're some of the older people, again, you all might remember Baharuddin Vocational Institute. So a lot of design disciplines, including graphic design, product design, these are considered a vocation, no? So it's not even considered a profession. So the furthest you could go in Singapore, assuming your family is not rich enough or you don't get a scholarship, you want to study any form of design, you probably stop at diploma, and then you just have to, go out and work and try to build a career from there. So for me, after JC, I went to JC. I had decent results, quite good results. So I actually could kind of go to
anywhere that you want.
Yeah. But I want to do design. So at that point of time, to be very honest, I really wanted to pursue photography. That was actually my first love since I was very, very young. So I wanted to, in my ideal world, I wanted to study a degree in photography. So I tried to convince my parents to
send you away.
Yeah, of course, they are very traditional parents. They are like, you want us to spend so much money to study photography, They say, you already have a camera.
And you're not even going to take of them, are you?
Yeah, no, not even. And as I said, my parents being very traditional and very conservative, they were so horrified. They said, "You go and study photography, then you come back, you take wedding pictures." I mean, I have nothing against taking wedding pictures, but they have that kind of mentality, like, you know,
that's the only root issue. That's only like career.
That's what they think. Yeah. So of course it was a resounding no from both my parents. They said, okay, you know, just try to find something in NUS or NTU. That time 2 university also. So either or you choose. NTU is out because no creative courses, no APM at that time.
There isn't.
Yeah, so architecture seems to be the only choice I could go to if I want to do something creative and get a degree. So it's quite funny. That means a higher power made the decision for me. You know, I didn't really set out to. I know I have friends in NUS. They tell me, wow, since I was a kid, I like Lego. I want to be a bricklayer. I want to do this and all that. I said, no, since young, my favorite object is the Kodak camera. So, but anyway, it was a good coincidence that I mean, it's a good accident, whatever you call it, situational that I got into architecture. And I actually fell in love with it when I first started studying it, because during my time, I understand now the system is structure of the course slightly different, but during my time we had to take the first year, I think it's about 8 to 10 examinable subjects that include your history of art, that include your history of architecture, that includes your theory of architecture, amidst other practical subjects like structures, environmental study, things like that, you know. So I felt really enriched, you know, because I've always loved art, but I wasn't really totally exposed to a lot of theories or you know, information about it. But when I studied history of architecture, wow, a whole world opens up to me. You know, I felt that these are all things that I kind of, you know, I thought about before and whatever, and these are all coming to me in very structured format. I learned about the movements and different art techniques and so on and so forth. And it was also very enlightening to study from Western art history to Eastern art history. It's so different, yeah, because we also study about indigenous art and all that, the Buddha sculptures and all that. TK Sababati, everybody.
Oh yeah.
Iconic art
Is he still at NUS?
I don't think he's there anymore, but I think he has really taught decades of students. So I think a lot
we
of
all
us
benefited.
are fortunate to learn under him, because he's so knowledgeable. He's a walking encyclopedia, right?
Absolutely.
And then of course we also learn under like Pioneer Indoor, you know, indigenous architecture and all that, which really opened up my eyes, because I used to not really know how to appreciate indigenous architecture, just like all young people, right? We all just like, wow, European architecture, very nice.
Yeah.
But we never looked into our own culture, and through pioneers' eyes, I mean, we really learned amazing architectures in Singapore.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, I just felt that I learned so many things that that I never thought I would be interested in, but those knowledge was very, very enriching to me. So I during my time, you know, it was a 2 degree, 3 years degree of art in architecture studies, then you do 1 year compulsory internship, then 2 more years degree of architecture. So I actually finished all 6 years, and I think I was actually very, very happy. I thoroughly enjoyed my 6 years, thoroughly, and I'm grateful to have a bunch of comrades. I'm still very good friends with some of my NUS mates. We kind of, in those days, we all sleep in school, you know, we just camp out in school almost 365 days. We all have a bed there.
I know, under the drafting table.
Yeah. So the kind of
you have like a makeshift curtain. just a piece of cloth.
Really carry us through our life. Yeah. So anyway, it's a little bit of a long story, but you see, so I got into an accident. But I felt that, but like I said, I learned to really love the subject, and I felt that it gave me a really strong foundation in basically the practice and both the theory and the practice of aesthetics in a very broad way, you know. So, and as you know, in architecture, we actually have to dabble with a lot of things because our presentation, well, every presentation is like a big deal to us.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, we have to pick up Photoshop, during my time, PageMaker, you know, things like that to do the layout. That was when I fell in love with graphic design. So, yeah, so actually, you know, 7 days a week, I think almost every day, anybody will know. If you walk into the computer suite, you'll see Kelley there. I'll be playing because in those days, a Macintosh is very expensive. So most of us are on PC, you know, if we are lucky to even afford a PC. So I discovered the Macintosh. I mean, not discovered, like I got to use it in, you know, in school, yeah, because there are like 30 of it, right? So
I don't remember. During my time, all PCs already.
Okay, my time there is a Mac suite. So lucky us. So there's like 30 Mac, the small one, no. So I'm there every day. So that's where I pick up my PageMaker and Photoshop there, and I apply it in my presentation. So just to share a little funny story, like, you know, in those days, like when we do the presentation, I think my architecture is okay, but every time, like, when people see my presentation drawings, they say, wow, very nice. So I really enjoy the presentation a lot more. So that's something that I discovered, you know. So when I came out, I think a lot of people will be surprised / shocked. My first job is at Architect 61.
Why surprising? Why surprising, Kelley? You graduated, or?
It's because most people thought that, you know, I would go to a small studio, you know, that kind of thing, or that. But well, I mean, I have interned at various places. One of my mentors is Mangkok and Piling. So they used to be at Andrew Tan Architects. That's where I served my 1-year internship, and I was mentored by Mangkok and Piling before they formed MKPL. Yeah, so that is as close to a small studio as I have gone to. I've also practiced at Nikken Sekkei shortly, and then another super corporate one, Architects Groups Associate. Are they still even around? and Architect 61. So that was the beginning. But to be very honest, that was when I first graduated. I didn't really enjoy it. But it's good. It opened up my eyes to another way of practicing architecture.
You didn't enjoy it because you don't have the, or at least your scope doesn't give you the same amount of liberty to do the layout.
Yeah, but bear in mind, I was also a fresh grad. You know, in those days, fresh grad is go and draw toilet tiles.
I know.
Build the staircase railing. Calculate the car park. You know. That kind of like really not very inspiring kind of things. And if you are, well, I mean, if you're lucky, you assist an architect, but you also do the saikang, you know. So yes, I've been through all that, and I just thought to myself, wow, how many years do I have to do this before I get somewhere? No? Because architecture is a very long profession. I mean, for one to be, I mean, talking generically now, you know, for an architect to be successful, start with open model, but you will be 40, 50 already.
100%.
Yeah, because you got practice, you learn a little bit. Then in our time, maybe you take your PPT in 5 years, 6 years is common. I know these days people are fast. They 2 years faster do one project, one house, then they go and take already.
Very calculated.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Quickly take PPT, but in our time it's a bit different.
And Kelley, to your point, you're very much that involved and also very concentrated. At least during your 6 years during your architecture days, during the training, I think while you're being exposed to a lot of things, you're talking about big structured, definitely, because I mean there are like different modules and different courses that we have to clear. And then that gives you really, whether we like it or not, a lot of exposure to things around the world. And a lot of times people say that architects or architecture trained people are like a jack of all trades. I shall not continue with the second sentence. I don't think that's true, you know. But really, I think we're exposed to so much because the work like later on really requires that. It's not just about the aesthetics, it's not just about the function, it's not just about the politics, it's not just about the community, but a lot of layering, like one on top of another. And through that, other than photography, you manage to find out that of your love and your attachment to layout, to prints, to like flat design, you know. And then, but of course, later on when you go into the work of I would say typical, because I'm sure like architects, it really depends on which sector or segment. You do very different things. Nowadays, it can be that, but you went into a certain area, which as a fresh grad, like what you're saying, that the scope is really like little, because okay, you should start designing your smallest possible built thing, which then gravitates more towards the bathrooms. It's always like that. But I do enjoy my part, because I was designing for Clarke Quay, you know. So the Clarke Quay, the bath, even the toilets of Clarke Quay, they're quite awesome. But okay, separately. Then so with your very much focus in photography, you have not lost that. Then your love for prints, you have not lost that. So architectural, if it's just about the design of the building part, then you'll be losing touch with the rest, you know, with the two other main loves that you have cultivated like in the years before that. Is that when you decided to like leave and to set up each?
Which other, sorry, just backtrack a bit. Which other two loves were you referring
to? Photography, no, just photography and print.
Oh,
and layout.
I see. But didn't lose touch, ma. I think I kind of exercised it. So maybe we fast forward a little bit lah. So after I practiced a little bit of architecture, I wanted to go back to something I love to do, instead of drawing like railings and toilet tiles and doing saikang for architects. So I asked myself what I really want to do, and I mean the answer was actually at the back of my mind lah. I thought that I should start my own design magazine, because it combines all my passion. Because I love to take photo, I love to do graphic design, I like to write, and I love design. I have enough knowledge to kind of throw together some. So I thought that it would the perfect thing for me to do, you know, combining all this love, and so after that I thought, but I don't have knowledge to. I mean, I love magazine. All my collection is still here. I never throw in my magazine. So that is something that I have always loved as a hobby, reading magazine, and I really treasure all my magazines. But I realized at that point of time that actually I can start my own, you know. And that time Singapore's magazine are still rather conservative in general, you know. So I thought, let's start something a bit more cool and happening. And so what happened is I thought that I needed to pick up some understanding and skills in publishing. So I went to look for a job in a magazine, which wasn't too difficult, because I also forgot to mention that because of my love in doing many things, I've been freelancing since I was in JC. So I've been freelancing as a photographer, writer, and illustrator for various magazines, including Big O, which some people might remember is the only independent music magazine in Singapore at that time. Yeah. So I did quite a lot of stuff for Big O. I did for magazines like IB, Interior Quarterly, Man Magazine, Sherry, fashion and art and fashion and what do you call that? Design related interior architecture. So I have this is the thing that I wanted to remind all the young designers out there, aspiring designers, and my students, I always say, when you're young, go out, throw yourself out there, you know, and just try to do something that you like. Don't be embarrassed or whatever. Just send your portfolio and say that you're willing to offer your service, and don't think about the money. I did a lot of things for no money when I was young. I was just simply happy that people want to use my art or my design or my writing. I'm so proud, no? I mean, as a young kid, because I mean, we can live on very little, right? I mean, your parents give you some pocket money. You can really stretch it for very long, right?
100%.
But yeah, so my fulfillment is not in the material things, you see. My fulfillment is to kind of to find platforms for my art, you know. And I mean, as with all artists and creatives, we feel happy and proud when our works are appreciated. That is the highest form of satisfaction, right? So as a young kid, you know, without much, I don't have a lot of needs for, like, say, material things or money or whatever. So I just offer myself to a lot of magazines out there. Most of them will say, you're only 16 or 17, you can, man. But when you say you're free, they say, okay, I don't mind to let you try, because they lose nothing. And that was how I got my feet into, you know, the publishing world.
That's so smart. Yeah, that's so smart. That's the number one tip, I would say. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think I have, in a sense, like paid my dues in a very voluntary sort of way. So anyway, when I decided to, then I fast forward back to my after I decided, Architect 61 cannot, I can't stay for too long already. So I actually approached ID Magazine. The editor then was Lei Hoon. She's a veteran. I think a lot of architects, older generation, know her. So I've been writing for Lei Hoon and taking photos for ID Magazine for many years, since throughout my architecture days, you know. I wrote a lot and I took a lot of pictures for the magazine because I'm quite cheap now. So she okay lah. They don't have a lot of budget.
And good. And good.
I mean, okay lah. That one is
this second part I have to bring it up for you.
But as usual, like I say, when you are young and you don't have a lot of portfolio, either you're free or your cheap people will try you out lah. Never mind, you know. So anyway, I was given a lot of opportunities by Lei Hoon, which I'm really grateful. Actually, she was really also a sort of a mentor to me. So at that point of time, I decided to kind of intern myself in the publishing world. She's the first person I approached. So I said, can you hire me full time? I don't care how much you pay me lah, but I really just want to learn because my ambition is to start my own magazine. So will you take me in? And she graciously agreed, you know. Although the magazine didn't have a lot of budget, but she managed to find me a decent amount of allowance, and I joined her. I worked with Lei Hoon for 2 years, and she taught me a lot of things. So I say, like, me for that, I'm always grateful. She's a very generous mentor, and I learned a lot of things from her. So after that 2 years, it was I think fate calling. So the publishing house, the boss, went bankrupt. So we were all forced.
This come and go, of course.
Yeah.
This come and they go.
Probably, well, I mean, just to sidetrack a bit, running a magazine publishing firm is very, very, very tough. So sidetrack lah, because I've done it myself for 10 years. So anyway, so after that, to be very honest, if the fate didn't call, the higher powers didn't nudge me, maybe I was comfortable, I might stay a bit longer, because like I said, Lei Hoon was very nice to me, and she's very flexible. She's not the meow boss, like, you 9 o'clock must come in 6 o'clock. She will give me a bunch of things, okay, you go and write this, you go and do this, and then she let me be, you know. So I was quite, I had control of my own time and all that.
You're disciplined.
She's not always on my back and all that, so I was very comfortable.
Yeah, you're thankful of the trust as well.
And I really enjoyed what I was doing, right? Because it was, I was like, wow, you know, this is really so much more fun, and I have 100% control over what I do rather than architecture. You know, architecture, your control
is a collab. It's always a collab.
Yeah, it's very,
and even then it may get thrown out. Even then it may still get thrown out.
Yeah,
someone like a budget.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like I say, I mean, like, but anyway, I really felt very happy. But when the boss declared bankrupt, that's another drama story for another day.
Sure.
We were all forced to leave, right? No choice. So at that point in time, I was a little bit lost, you know. I was like, yeah, shit, you know. But should I go back to architecture? Should I what, you know, like, should I wake up and like earn a decent pay and all this? But then the more how to say, crazy part of me lah. Say, no actually now is the perfect time.
That's the purpose.
Start your own language. You know, it's a.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah,
it's
not?
like you were saying that the higher powers are already calling. And if you're right about a higher power, someone goes bankrupt for you to do that, you know.
It's a calling strong enough for me to hit. So so funnily, that was how I said, okay, you know, since I was still young, I had nothing to lose. I said, you know, give it a couple of years, and if that my magazine doesn't work out, then go and go back to become architect, you know. Still, that's the good thing, that you have something to.
You have a backup.
Yeah, you know,
something that your parents will want.
Exactly. So that's where I'm coming from. So also to all kids, always listen to your parents. Your parents always say, just study your degree, you can do whatever you want, because your degree you still have something to fall back on. So I agree. I wasn't fearful because I know I have skills, right? If worst kind of worst, never mind I give it 2-3 years, I'm still less than 30. I just go and draw toilet tiles again. What's the big deal?
No, you probably like draw something else.
yeah, hopefully. Exactly.
Graduated from that.
I will draw the master bedroom toilet. No, I'm just kidding. So I mean, anyway, I decided to take the plunge, and I thought that there's nothing to lose. And I think I was quite lucky. So Ish kind of like was quite successful on its launch, and we had enough, I mean, supporters from advertisers and also readers and all that to actually keep it going for 10 years in the end. Yeah. So that's that. So I mean, under the starting the Ish, and you know, there is also an episode that on the third year, I was approached by Page One Publishing. So they actually headhunted me. They wanted me to be the creative director.
Is Page One based in Singapore?
It is headquartered in Singapore, but at its prime, that time when they headhunted me, they were at its prime. They had shops everywhere. They have but they do have a branch office in Hong Kong where their presence is the strongest. And at that time, I think they had 5 shops in Hong Kong. There are shops in Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, and when I joined them, we started Taiwan and China. So I, at their prime, they needed someone they had this ambition to start their own publishing firm, because they are primarily a bookshop. And they publish books on a very ad hoc basis. So like, I don't know if you know Tan Hok Beng.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so Hok Beng's books were published mostly by Page One, but on a very ad hoc basis. So Hok Beng would go and shoot and do everything himself, and he'll come to Page One. Page One will kind of finance the publishing of it, and then we'll push it out into the bookshops and all that. But anyway, so the boss had this ambition that I think that was 2001. So the boss had this ambition that he wants to start his own publishing firm and to have a really solid, like a consistent program. So every year to have a fixed number of good books and all that, to develop that into its own company, separate from the retail. So that was when I come in. So they headhunted me to actually start this publishing.
Because of your prior experience in publishing as well.
Yeah,
right?
because of Ish, and it turns out anyway.
Now you're like a senior, playing a senior, almost like the person like in charge of the entire operation already.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So because it turns out, just a sidetrack a little bit also, that the boss of Page One, he turned out to be a fan of Ish. So he's been following the magazine, you know, which was selling in page one bookshop, of course. So that's how he found me, you know. And so anyway, so I was very excited as a young person. I was like, wow, I can do so much. And he said the ambition is that you will conceptualize 100 books a year. I was like, my God, I just strike creative jackpot.
Oh my God.
It's a dream.
Yeah, that's better than winning a lottery in many ways.
Yeah.
I mean, what else would you ask for, right?
Not in the monetary way.
I know, of course.
No. Jackpot.
Absolutely. No, but this is like crazy, I'm sure, right? When you got wind of this particular expectation or the like something down the pipeline that's expected of you, like placed in front of you, whether you can deliver. But of course, you will do your best.
Of course, yeah. So So anyway, I said I think about it. Then but it was quite clear in my mind lah. So I went back to him. I said I would be happy to accept this position, but with only one condition: that you have to buy over my company-ish, because I said I want to continue to run it. So at first he was a bit reluctant because he also know how difficult magazine publishing is. So he said that's a different ball game. You know, I'm not interested and all that. So I think when I was young, I was quite hardball one, and also that I really, you know, the good thing is I have nothing to lose. Really, it's nothing to lose, you see. So I just told him, I said, no, I mean, this is my baby. If you don't want to buy it, there's no deal. I rather continue with this, you know, because it's something I created. How can I, like, imagine you got a baby, you know, someone asks you to throw away, like, how can, right? You know, you will choose anything, you'll choose your baby over anything, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then so I said, no, then no deal lor. So he came back, he said, well, okay lah, let me come up with a figure, then I'll come back to you.
That's so crazy. That was ish into the third year.
Yeah. So I started in 1999. So I ran it beginning of 1999. So I ran it from 1999, 2000 as an independent. Then 2001, the deal was ongoing. Then finally, page one offered me a sum of money to buy it over. Yeah. So I continued to run the magazine for 8 years, and I fulfilled my role as the chief slave in page one, and we delivered. I think by the time I left, we had a portfolio of almost 1,000 books.
That's crazy. I think I vividly remembered. Of course, there are page ones in Singapore, and then my God, it was huge.
Vivo City,
Absolutely, that's the place to visit. Like I wouldn't say every day, but maybe every other day. Tons of people will be there. Then especially like design enthusiasts and architectural, interior, landscape, a lot. Because then really the magazines and the creatives and the creative titles, they're all near the entry.
Yes,
it was like beautifully designed. I think I was almost like crying when it was like somehow shuttered and then gave way to something else. Then suddenly we're at a loss, you know, like no place to go.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
I'm sure this.
So if you remember the shop, that was when I came in, the ambition was also to start that Vivo City and the Taipei T101 shop. If you remember the shop, so I actually was the creative brains behind the rebranding and all the graphics, the uniform, the paper bag.
Wow. They are beautiful.
Finding, so actually that was my very first branding job.
Awesome. No, that was really well done. That was really well done. You really hit the correct notes on so many levels.
So that was that. I always answer your question in so many words and so
No, don't worry about it. In fact, that's what I meant by going wide and deep. And then thereafter you were with Ish and all that. I mean there must be a reason why. But I think somehow you maybe it's natural or maybe it's just the way it is that you coincide with like every 10 then 20 we'll talk about the 20 years. But then Ish at the end like say after a decade, maybe that's a good time, you know, like to pack it and to do something else. And that's where the press room is somehow born in a way. So who are the publication or who are your first clients for the press room?
my first client, and I will always remember Miss Rita So, Singapore Architect Magazine.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I think I have so many like what the Chinese say 贵人, you know, along the way. So
You mean SA Magazine is your first client?
Yes, it's my first client when I started the press room.
Oh, that's interesting. Because when I must have gotten a copy, and then when I look at it, I saw the press room, of course, because the narrative, everything was different from the previous versions. So
right.
it must be new. And then, but when I saw the press room, I thought that you all have existed for a long time, you know, for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Thanks. Season hands. So
okay.
yeah. So anyway, I mean, you already kind of explained it for me that after 10 years of each, I thought, you know, it's really a little bit time to move on. But more importantly, that I decided to leave is because at page one, okay, I'm going to like be really candid about this. It's almost like a creative factory, you know. We need to churn out things quite fast and quite efficiently and all this. Everything is about the bottom line, you know. And I think I've done that, and I've done that well already. But I felt stifled creatively, you know, because yeah, I mean.
But can you share a little bit about that, because you were saying that the company may be able to give you, as in the kind of scope and the kind of depth to play with. Then how come you're still feeling stifled? Is it because of the bottom lines that you have to hit?
Yes, and also you see, when you have a team of like about 30 people and 20 over 30 people, you have 50 projects going on all the time. You can, yes, as the head, you only touch and go, no.
Wow.
You can't really go very deep
in
every single one, you know, and you can't
I can understand that.
particular and very detailed, because then there are deadlines and then there are bottom lines, and then there is also, you see, every book that we make, I have to kind of help the company to ensure that it can hit the mass market. So I mean, to be very honest, you know, we are not doing like we're not a Fiden. You know, like what very exquisite design book, one for $300, that kind. We are not, no. We are more like Tarshan in its early days. You know, they do series, you know, cheap and good compilations, very fast, very easy to sell, because like, you know, people just don't think too much when you're spending $10-20. So the strategy of page one is more of a mass market design book. So I can feel happy if you know, sales figure is crazy, you know. Some of our books, after we sell rights in the book fairs and all that, my highest selling one can be up to $1 million.
Wow.
Lots of money. If you just think about it, royalties, we go by royalties, just $1, one series, 5 books, each one sell $1 million. Immediately, I just bet I make the company $5 million, you know. I'm not exaggerating. But whether the design is nice or not, I'm not proud to say that wow, it sells because the design is damn nice, you know. It sells because it is the right formula. But a lot of things in life, like sometimes, you know, I used to compare the page one books to pop music, you know. Look at now I also don't even pop bands, but during those times, Rick Astley you know, Jason Donovan, Kylie Minogue, they all sound freaking alike. It's a formula. In bookmaking, there can also be a formula, and I know that formula, you see. So I can produce any number of Rick Astley and Kylie Minogues for you.
You're a producer.
But I'm not, you know, I didn't produce
bestsellers and
Sting or Coldplay or, you know, Alanis Morissette, you know. So after you do a lot of pop music, then you say it's a bit tiring already. So yeah, so I thought at first for me it was as simple as that I want to take a break, and I was very tired because I really worked very, 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 very hard in page one. I never had a day of leave. So I thought most importantly I want to take a break, and that was when I started 15 minutes
at LaSalle.
Night and day, at night and day, the bar. So I decided to kind of like invest in something else.
That's so crazy. It's really different. It's altogether different, you know. Kelley.
It is, and it is not, you see, but because night and day also there's a art gallery element, yeah. So
Okay,
I thought,
okay.
you know, it's also something, maybe I can do something. I mean, business can be creative too, you see.
But there's this food element, which is it like new to you? This food element?
Totally. So I think actually the food and the drinks element is where I really kalang kabut. So it really
No,
is.
I don't mind. I don't mind the pasta. I think the pasta doesn't taste too bad. Actually, I'm quite fine. I used to frequent it quite often as well because I'm part of the like design team for LaSalle then. So after that, I popped by a few times. Actually,
you never tried our pizza? Our pizza is the most popular. Actually.
Oh, is it? I'm not a student there.
Yeah. Okay. So funnily after I quit, actually when I was in page 1, I already dabbled a little bit in this business, but I was very open to the boss. I just say that I want to invest my money in something else, but there's no conflict of interest lah. It's F&B, and anyway, I'm not going to be the one there running it or whatever. I'm just going to be the creative brains. So he gave me his blessings because no conflict of interest ma. So he was quite assured. He said, yeah, go ahead. So I think since the last second year, I was still in page 1. Night and day already started. So night and day already started. 15 minutes came later, only when I left page 1 officially.
Okay.
Yeah. So for a while, I thought, wow, I'll build a F&B empire, the new dream, but didn't happen, sadly.
Why? Why not?
It was really tough. Food business is really another different ball game. And if you are not there in the kitchen, you're not there in the kitchen, you're not there running it, shit happens.
Of course.
I'll not elaborate, but yeah, it was.
For another time, part two.
Yeah,
There's really so much, because you have dabbled. Well, you say dabbled. The truth is that you go like really very deep into it. It's not like inside your brain, like dabbling inside the brain. You really executing it in the real world.
So it's true. I mean, I think I've taken quite a lot of risks in my life, but I guess. It's worth it because at least now I'm older. I look back.
It's all meaningful.
I've tried all those. I know what works for me. And then so anyway, so that was the after leaving, I thought that I'll just focus on my F&B, and then funnily, so I started the press room just as a sort of, how to say, I didn't have the intent to kind of like aggressively go and market it or whatever. I just thought, okay, if there's one design project I take two, and I just take it slow because that time we had the night and day building, which I share with Randy. We have enough space, you see. So we have that bar, we have his office, we have the gallery, we have enough space for my office as well. So I just go there. It's a nice space, very inspired. I just do my own things and all that. But as I said, so Rita was my first client. She was a publication after she stepped down from the 3 terms president. So she was the publication chairman. She took over from I can't remember who. So I think under her belt is to revamp the magazine. And that time I can't remember who was the editor before me. They just resigned They also don't want to do already. So it's a little bit taxing, So it was quite timely So Rita needed to find a new editor, and she started a conversation with me. And
how does she find you? She saw your like.
I mean, because I was running Ish, I was still quite active. When you're running an architecture/design magazine, you are very much present in the industry. You meet people, and then
That's right. That's correct.
Events, I also go to the SIA dinners, all that, and all my peers are architects. How to run away? So I mean, I'm still very much present in the industry, and it was so I'm still good friends with people like Rita and all that. So Rita reached out to me, and she was like said she was another 贵人 like Lei Hun, very very nice. She said, why don't you give this a try? We'll give you 100% free hand. And make it more interesting, more exciting, and hopefully the readership can grow, not just for architects and all that. So she was very, very open, and she was very supportive, you know. So that was how I first client. So I did the Singapore Architect, and I was very fortunate that it ran for 8 years. Yeah,
that's a long time. That's a long time.
So I did it for 8 years. And
it's long. It's both. Of course, it can be longer, but it is enough to make an impact, really. You know, in the overall history of the SA magazine.
Yeah.
Because I
really hope so. But I mean, I had many. I worked with many good publication chairmen in the community. It was Rita, then later it was Peng Bing. Peng Bing was also very open. He doesn't interfere. He was very supportive. And then Angeline, before she became CEO, she got a bit more time. Angeline was also very wonderful to work with. Also very, very supportive and always giving. Also, I think under Angeline, we also created this series of book called Our Modern Past. Yeah.
Oh, so, that was the time. That was published with the press room as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Under the blessings of SIA.
Yeah, beautiful work. I've got friends who are non-designers, non-architects, but they are like fan of the print. You know, of how beautiful that can actually be. It becomes like a collectible.
Yes.
that if you cannot get hold of prints from, and no one can. Unless you work in an architectural firm, you know, but at least you can get that book.
Yeah, true, that's true. Yeah, so so that was how the story of the first client.
Awesome. Because at the press room, you were even then there's really like so much that you would go on, and then I've got the, in a way, blessings. You know, you're talking about higher powers, and then like late last year, you have got this it's not even for because we chatted up then. And you were also talking about having maybe taking like a little break, and listening back to what when you say that you were having breaks at different intervals of your like 30 years or slightly more than that. It depends on when is it that we start counting, you know, from if you're talking about, say, even you're like moonlighting during your school days or something like that, then you even be more than 30 years. But with all these different things, and then when you decided that you want to have a break, now that I hear you, thankfully you're not like, say, from press room I'm going to gravitate to move on to something that's entirely different. I'm not sure, but maybe like at the end of this you can like share with me and whoever, you know, what are some of
I'm always thinking of you. Right.
No, but late last year, really, I've got it's really an eye opener. Because I got to see the amount of work, very in depth, and then they're all of all different genres. Not just architecture, definitely, but so many different genres. You know, I mean, some of these are really like related. It could be like furniture, and then you were like dabbling in shoes, and then with different artists, of course. I think these things are all like so super awesome. Then really, what gives you the kind of flexibility that you are able to manage in terms of content for like so many different genres?
Okay, I think to be very honest, all these different genres come very naturally to me. I don't think that at any point I actually need to struggle to go and make it happen. I mean, we shared earlier about this, how I like to take photos, and then I like to write, I like to, so I kind of like have all these skill sets in me. So when it's, let's just say, people come to me for content creation project, like building narratives, or even branding is about telling stories and all that. I have no problem writing something very compelling, to kind of frame a good story for any brand. And at the same time, as I write, I can also create the visual, in my mind. So the logo kind of hand in hand, right?
Wow.
And also that, for example, if you see, I've done theatre set design and film set. when the script comes to me and I read it, because of my architecture background, these visuals come to my mind also, and also my interest in movies. Actually, I'm a movie freak. I watch movie like nobody's business. So these visuals. So the other point that I always share with younger designers and my students is about building a visual depository, like a bank in you.
What do you mean by that?
So when you look at a lot of things, like you watch a lot of movies, you look at a lot of design books, you watch a lot of performances and all that. These visuals kind of like they are saved in a bank view, a visual bank, right? So you actually have all these kind of resources in you. So when someone asks you to design something, you actually tap from this resource, and they kind of amalgamate inside you, and it becomes your own. But it's because of this resource that you have. You see a lot of young designers, what happens is that when you tell them, okay, Vincent, go and design this, then they stuck how? Go Pinterest. Then try to copy a bit, you know what I mean? Because they have nothing to draw from, so they must draw from something more physical. You see? But if you have been building this depository, this resource, this bank and this library inside you, for a long time, by basically looking at everything, anything creative. When a brief comes to you and say, Vincent, design, you just, like Kung Fu like that, your name will come out.
No, that's a beautiful way of describing it, you know. You like put it so beautifully, it's like this reservoir of a lot of things, and then when there's it's almost like building up a dam. Like you're just depositing it, and then when necessary, the correct doors will open for.
Yeah, and this is very, very, very important, which I think a lot of designers, not that they cannot design, I don't believe that they cannot, but they don't have enough to draw from. So sometimes when you don't have enough to draw from, you need something to jumpstart it, something to trigger. So they go and look at Pinterest and nothing wrong with that. I said, when you look, this also becomes your depository. Save it, so next time you look at more and more. Or look at other things, all top designers in the world, good designers in the world, will always give this cliche answer when people ask them, what inspires you? They say, everything around me. Everything, it's true. It's true. So you must always open up your eyes, because everything can add on to this depository and draw from it.
I think that part about this is from my own personal experience, but I think that you have like so succinctly and beautifully like captured it. The operation of absorbing requires this almost like you need to spend certain like focus and time on it as well. I'm sure there are like, I've got some friends, not many, but some friends who has got like photographic memory. Wherever that they see, they're able to remember. But for many of us, it's a matter of like focusing. And I suppose maybe then there is one shortfall of social media or even things like Instagram, because you flip and then it's like so fast, So I mean, maybe with a few seconds or a few like minutes, you're able to see like tens, if not hundreds of imagery or of things, but none of them actually gets into the brain. Very much like very unlike how maybe when you're talking about like to observe from the world to things around you, the mechanism of how the things from outside they're being perceived and then being translated in some way, and to be kept inside and to be understood and to be kept inside your brain. It requires a different operation. But of course, folks, if you want to really understand how this can be like better played out in a slow-mo manner, you have to catch hold of Kelley. Kelley, I wouldn't really want you to leave at this moment. I'm very sure that definitely we'll have a part 2. But before that, just want to share with our folks that like where is it that we can like catch you? How is it that we can contact you?
Oh, right. Okay, so you can go to my website. Actually, there's 2 websites. One website is kelleycheng.com. That is actually also, if you missed my retrospective exhibition last year, it's actually an online experience of the exhibition. with a kind of like a very curated selection of my works.
Yeah, that's
so
beautiful.
check that out. Or if you want to see the more comprehensive archive of the press room, which is my studio, then go to thepressroom.com.sg and you can have a taste of it.
Kelley, I think at certain point, like maybe a few weeks or few months down the road, likewise, I'm really hopeful that you're able to grant us like access to talk about some of these things that are in the exhibition. I've visited it, and I'm sure just now you have like pointed us to where we can find the exhibition and the information. But nothing beats you like explaining them to the level of detail that you are doing. These are gracious generously for all the work that you have done before this. So before we end the show, I'd like very much for you to touch a little bit about the red dot that you were doing. You're the part of the jury team. Can you share with us? I mean, red dot has been something that is almost like an amazing thing, you know, that a lot of people like they'll gravitate towards. For designers, that's where they want to be. How does that come about, as in your involvement with this brand or with this award?
Okay. I was first invited to be the jury almost 10 or 12 years ago. Yeah. So I think it was basically through the reputation of Ish and the publications under that time I was still with Page One. So
this is the second time.
Sorry?
This is the second time.
Which is the second time?
This 2020.
You mean to Red Dot?
As a jury.
I've been there 12 times, I think. 11 or 12 times. Yeah.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I see. So it started then.
Since 11 or 12 years ago, to be exact. Then
see, you've got so many titles to you. It's easy to miss out, you know.
It's okay, don't worry. Sometimes I forget also. So as I was sharing that when during Page One, our books were sold internationally, you know. So I also, you know, have a little bit of reputation elsewhere. So I was first invited about 11, 12 years ago, and then after that I was fortunate enough that they invited me back every year, and then subsequently I realized that Red Dot has this very unique sort of way of keeping their jury. So because Red Dot is such an established award, they felt that they need, if they keep changing their judges every year, the continuity might be lost, you see. Because and then also sometimes, you know, brands like they resubmit their work, you know, last year, this year, and all that, which is nothing wrong but it has to be within the time frame, whatever. So they realized that it is much more effective when you build a sort of a permanent jury who are very familiar with the judging procedures and
process
the
and
way
all.
That. Yeah, almost like a extended family kind of thing. So so after they invited me for a few years and all that, I was quite fortunate that, you know, I was kind of in this rather permanent sort of jury setup, and I see actually me and a lot of the judges. I mean, it is a very prestigious position to be
absolutely,
and we kind of pride ourselves as being the gatekeepers of Red Dot, you know. So to maintain every year the same kind of standard for the awards, so it's really something that I feel very privileged to do that.
Thank you for illustrating on that, because we wouldn't know, you know. I mean, for those who might have like gone deeper into what Red Dot is, but for me it's very much on the surface. I do, however, can feel the kind of intent behind this, because there are, like, say, other maybe there's one other brand like Muji, for example. The design team that has gotten started like 10, 20 years back, they're still very much the same design, like creative team. They have got the interior designer, the product designer, so on and so forth. The same few people, you know, that makes up for the core member, and therefore the main task, like what you said just now, to really like to gatekeeping the kind of not just a quality. Of course, the quality has got to be there, but the kind of product, the kind of brand that the name stands for, the consistency of that. So that's not lost through the trends and whims and wants of the world as they come along.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
Thank you, Kelley. So like what I said, folks, definitely there'll be a part 2. Thanks, Kelley, for sitting down with us and sharing so much, like what I mentioned earlier, very generously. I think your thoughts and your level of execution, and perhaps even more important than all these things, you know, that your guts, the ability to be fearless in the things that you do, to pursue, not so much in the, of course, being practical is very important, and therefore we were touching on that. There are certain like safety nets that you want to apply, but once you have got those things, then the sky's the limit, and you should keep for them. Definitely things which are like part of your interests and your passions. Thanks again, Kelley, for joining us.
Nice chatting to you, Vincent. Thanks.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.